Hey, everybody. Um, I had a free moment of insomnia to share with you all, and so I'm just going to talk about the last thing that just happened to me out of the blue, right? And so I got followed by this person named Susan Bennett, and I always now check the people who follow me to see if it's somebody that I might like. I didn't always do this, and it'll become apparent why I didn't always do this before. But nowadays, I'm a little bit more communicative. I'm a little bit more about personal connections with people. So I clicked on it to see who the fuck is this person that followed me out of the blue. And it turns out it is Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri, the Apple technology, right? And so I was like, wow, that's interesting. She's a verified person following me. And I look further and I see she's following 1.3 million people. And she's got 1.7 million people following her as the novelty that she is, the original voice of Siri. So it reminded me of something that I did a couple years ago where I followed a whole bunch of people and then got a rate of how many people would follow me back, and I started using a third party program in order to continue to do this. And it got to be something where I just kept following it as an experiment after a while, and I got up to like 16,000 Twitter followers, right? Now, over the years, it's kind of dwindled down to like just under 14,000, but at its peak, it was 16,000. And it's been a steady rate of decline. And the rate at which people would follow me back was almost around 10%, right? Just out of courtesy, if someone gets a follow from you, they'll follow you back at a rate of around 10%. That's what I found back in the day. Might have changed a little bit with people being a little bit more wary about this. But yeah, it's very apparent to me with 1.3 million people that she is personally following herself, that she's not using her Twitter to see what all of those people that she's following have to say. You know, that feed would be crazy fast. Like, you know, no, she's not using Twitter the way it was intended. She's basically just prompting people to follow her, right? And she's verified. She's got the little verified fucking check. So it's actually easier for her to get past some of the checks that Twitter would put on people. Having an account on Twitter as old as I had, and starting off slowly following hundreds of people each day, it was easier for me to grow than it would be for somebody who started an account today. Because if you follow 100 people on day one of having a Twitter account, you will get suspended, right? But if you have an old account, you can follow a lot more. And I was following like 1,000 people a day, you know, growing at about 100 followers a day for a couple months. I was doing this shit, right? And even I knew that if I did it too much, I'd probably get caught by some algorithm. So I stopped doing it. And then one day, Twitter decided to make it so that the third party app that I was using no longer had access to be able to follow people en masse like I was doing. So you could still, like, cull people and remove people from your follow list if you didn't want anyone who just had an egg, you know, the generic egg that they put in place of your face if you don't upload an icon. You could just cull all your eggs if you want. Using that app. It was Manage Flitter was the name of the app. Anyways, I made a contest out of guess how I faked my way to like 16,000 followers on Twitter, and it was Carrie Wiseapple who had the closest guess as to how I did it. And then I revealed it all in a video. But when I see this shit still going on, like years later, years, like, how have they not caught on to this shit, right? Years fucking later. And so I look at the tweets that she has on her account, and I'm looking at like this pinned one at the top seems to have like 2,463 likes, right? Then there's one that has 88. Then there's one that has a couple hundred here, you know, 382, 364, 227. When you have 1.7 million people following you, that is a horrible ratio. Now, I have a horrible ratio too because I have, 16,000 odd fake Twitter followers, right? Or now it's down to like 13 because of the dwindle over time. But even my Twitter ratio of the likes that I get versus the number of followers that I have is not as bad as this. But at this level, people on average are not going to be able to tell. When you see, oh, look, she's got, 2,000 likes on that. She's got, 283 on that one. She must be a real celebrity because real people are actually seeing what she did. No, it's just a game of numbers. For every 100 people that do follow you back, there'll be that one person who actually ends up seeing you in their feed because they only have like 10 people that they ever look at. And they were like, hey, I don't know how I know this person. And they'll be they'll be interacting with you. So it's like 100 people for every 1,000 that you follow will follow you back. And then a good number of those people will unfollow you when they see that you have any political leanings whatsoever. They'll start to just fucking drop those that actually watch your shit. That explains some of my dwindle from 16,000 to down to 13,000, right? And then, as a fraction of that, you'll have people who actually interact regularly with you. And it's just a game of numbers. The more people you follow, the bigger it'll look. But as a ratio, it is horrible. And it is so obvious that this Susan Bennett is faking her way to fame. Faking her way to fame. And Twitter has verified her after faking her way to fame. Right? Yes, she might be the original voice of Siri, but nobody gives a fucking shit about that, okay? Maybe she wants to look a little bit more famous so that she can get some acting gigs, maybe be the voice of Siri in movies where people use Siri. Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, she's actually done a TED Talk. A fucking TED Talk. And I'm like, yeah, that brand's getting a little watered down at this point, right? But a lot of people have used TED Talks to kind of get the rub from that brand onto their brand to make them a little bit more famous. But let me tell you something about TED making the TEDx thing where anyone can run a TED Talk. This her TED Talk she did was at Furman U, wherever the fuck that is, right? Who's heard of Furman U? What fucking university is it? I don't know, right? Back in the day, I used to hit the convention circuit too. I talked at a few atheist conventions. I went to a couple skepticamps that were extremely easy to become a speaker on. And I filmed it. And there are skepticamp videos that I filmed on my fucking channel of me at skepticamp. To be at a TEDx, what is the entry requirement? Really? Seriously. It's almost as bad as the pay to play for the Vans Warp Tour. Like, all the side stages are actually rich silver spoon in their mouth kids who decided to make a punk band and have their parents pay for them to be on the Vans Warp Tour. Fucking look into it. It's pathetic, right? They're flash in the pan. Like, you wonder why they only played that one summer. It's because they realize that they suck, and their parents are like, you know what? I don't want to pay for 2 summers in a row of you failing as a musician. Anyways, that's the end of my rant about Susan Bennett and her being fake and plastic and using all of these different methods to try to grow the fame of her name when really it's just one little thing that she has as a claim to fame. And if you're lucky in life, you get a couple of those, right? I have my share of them that I'm proud of, but it looks pathetic when you're obviously faking it, right? Fucking pathetic.